Alrighty traders, let's get straight into today's market update. Let's go. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. All right, traders, make sure you see that trading course there. Make sure you grab access to that free trading course. I promise you guys, if you do need help with your trading, then that's going to really help you out with your trading there. So let's get into the update for today's markets. I have a challenge for you guys moving forward for this week, okay? One of the things that's important for trading is having some sort of plan, having a setup. I have a challenge for you. Do you have a setup in mind, a pattern on the chart, right? Because most of you guys are probably trading the markets. Do you have a pattern, a setup in mind that when you see it, you're like, oh my goodness, this is like a slam dunk, right? So for example, in that trading course, link below, when I get my A quality setups where everything lines up perfectly, it's very difficult to find a trade that doesn't make at least a short-term profit. Very difficult. That's how successful it is. That's my oh my goodness trade like that. That's that type of trade, right? Again, and I teach you that setup in the trading course. So, but what is it for you? Okay, and I think this is the foundations to you moving forward, right? Because a lot of people, a lot of people are like, well, I only have a $5,000 trading account, John, so I need to be taking a lot of trades to making a lot of money. And that's simply not true, right? That's simply not true. And the purpose of me saying that is I think a lot of people out there, they're just trying to trade every single little thing that moves. Oh, the market's gonna go up, let me go long. Let me go short, right? And we're doing all these trades and we're not strategically setting ourselves up to be able to later down the track, be able to put on big position sizes, right? And what I mean by that is that if you're trading, say, a $500 trade today, how do you, if you have the same mentality, the same habits, the same discipline, the same approach, how do you then go put on a $50,000 trade and be comfortable with it? Different, right? How do you go put on a $500,000 trade and now be okay with it? Now we're talking, right? Now we're talking much bigger numbers. So what I'm trying to say with you is if we can start to develop the habit of taking only these really good quality trades that may not come around that often, guess what? You then start to have the confidence to go from a $500 trade to a $5,000 trade to a $10,000 trade to 20 to 40 to 50 to 100,000, right? As you progress through that, because you know, oh my goodness, if I had $100,000 in this trade, I could potentially make 50 to 80 grand just from this one trade, maybe even more. Like for me, I know for me personally, when I get what I call an A quality long-term setup, those long-term setups have the potential to do minimum 300 to 400% using options, and as much as to over 1,000%. Think about that for what I just said there, right? Just one really good A quality trade for me per year with $100,000 could generate over $1 million in profit for me in about 3 to 4 week period. You get what I'm trying to tell you here, right? So before I get into the actual techniques and the technical side of things and stuff like that, I think it's really important to understand what I just went through there. Okay, I want you to be thinking long term, not just right now, but how can we be in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years? So how can we be at the position where we're comfortable putting on a much bigger position size because we've done that work, and that work is obviously what we're doing there. Make sense? So anyway, so the big thing I'm watching for right now, and what I'm looking out for is, let's actually go look at we'll start off with the good old stock market first. Now, the big thing I've been watching for is this, and this is something I just shared with my private clients, so bear with me for a minute, okay? Is it okay if I go? Is it okay if I go a bit of advanced technique on here with you here, okay? Is it okay if I do that? I'm thinking 4 things at once right now. So, in that trading course with the link in description, there is a thing called strength in moves, right? The market gives us some clues, all right? So let me explain something here for a minute. Okay, I'm going advanced here. Again, if in that trading course, guys, I promise you, video number 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is like goes for 2 or 3 hours long, in total, teaches you a lot of the chart reading techniques. I'm not going to go into a lot of it here, but you can see it over there in that trading course. Now, the thing is this, right? It's called strength in moves. When a market does a move like this, all right, let's just do this here. So when the market does a move like that, What is that? That is now what? That is now strong, isn't it? It's really strong. The market's pretty strong up. So if this was, say, a buying leg, right? Just say this is where the buyers here, right? This is the buyers right here. And the buyers did something, and that would represent something like this, right? The buyers are pretty strong there, right? They're oh my goodness, they're just galloping up. They're just taking off like a rocket, right? Now that's strong. But what happens if there's a buying leg, but the buying leg does something like that, where the market starts to do something like this? Do you notice how the angle, this here is what? More vertical. And then what happens? But this one here is more flat. So the more vertical it goes, the more stronger that leg is for that buying leg. Okay. Now what I mean buying leg is that's a buying leg there. 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 Do you see what I'm saying here? Again, guys, I'm going advanced here, but I'm trying to teach you some things here that are really important to like. Most of you guys are focusing on the indicators like the stochastics, the MACDs, and RSIs. But we're forgetting the main thing. When we start to get really good at reading the main thing, and that's the reason why, guys, I don't use stochastics and RSIs, because what I'm teaching you right now is the most important thing, right? Is seeing where is the overall momentum in markets and what could be coming from that. It's so powerful, guys, right? So so you can see what's happening here. So we can see it, and if we get a leg like that, it's like, okay, well, that's actually pretty strong. But if we get something like this, where the buying leg is quite weak, what tends to happen is that if it's much weaker, then we could start to get something like that, right? So here, bear with me for a minute. Now, as I bring up, say, the S&P 500, I'm going to bring up this chart here. I've actually just drawn some lines here. Just bear with me for a minute, okay? So I've just drawn some lines here. So what you probably see this angle through here. So this is actually the exact same. So see this overall move up was pretty much the same, right? This overall move up was pretty strong through here. So it's pretty strong. And then I've got the exact same parallel trend line. Look at this here. And see if I just draw it from the bottom, see how the overall move up is what? The exact same angle. So that's actually pretty strong. It's not straight up vertical, but it's actually pretty strong. But if I see this leg here, right? So we have this leg here. This leg here is the same sort of angle going up, the same sort of buying leg going up. But look what happened here. Notice how the angle is what? Flattening out. We went from that to slightly like that. Notice how that's happening. Now, what does that mean? This is a much weaker buying leg in the market. Why is that important? Because if we're going from stronger legs to much weaker legs, it's saying that this overall move up could be running out, could run out of steam really quickly, because the buyers in this buying leg are not as strong due to basically how vertical the move is. And so why that's important is because it gives us some clues to see where are we in the moves right now. And what I mean by that is that we're going from pretty strong to now very weak. So that's the very first thing I just said there. And this is actually a bit of a warning sign that when you ever see this here, you say, okay, this is a buying leg, but this actually is the buyers are not actually that strong in the markets here, right? They're actually not that strong. So when we're doing that and when we're seeing that, it gives us a clue. It's like, okay, this could be running out of steam really quickly. So that's the very first thing that I do say there, right? That angle through there. Now, the next thing I do say is you look at the S&P 500 and look at the S&P 500, look what happened. So we have this, see this whole resistance level through here? So we had this resistance back here, resistance, and it actually broke up, and now we're going sideways. So there's two different levels here that I'm focusing on. We've got one, is this going to be a false breakout? All right. So firstly, we know this move up here, we know it's a lot weaker. So therefore we could be getting ready for a reversal out of the markets. But then secondly, when we're looking at the markets, we can see we have the resistance, and resistance through here, right? So we have the resistance points all through there. That tells me that the coming week, if we do start to get something like this, and then we start to break down like that, breaking below, that tells me that this move, this overall move here was a false breakout, and it's probably going to be the end of that move. And then we have a big probability of now doing something like this because the false breakouts tend to happen at the end of sort of moves there. So one, we have the buying leg here being much weaker, which tells us that the buyers are much weaker now than they have been in the past, which simply means the sellers could be coming in much stronger. Overlaying what I just said there from a perspective of we broke up our resistance, but we didn't follow through. We need to see follow through, right? If it breaks back below, especially both this level here and this level here, guess what? This overall move here tells us that we could be getting ready. Again, if we do get this, guys, okay, we don't know. This thing could hold and continue up. I'm not saying it's going to definitely drop, but if we do start to get a drop down, which I do believe it's going to do based off this weaker leg than in the past, I do believe that is then going to start to send this market back to the downside.